Newspaper and magazine scribe photographer Mac Parry is my guest. In his files, he has over 10,000 images of people who hang out in our town. Some are famous, some are not so famous.
Correct. Which one were you? I wonder which category you were in.
I was probably on the radio.
Oh, boy, that long ago.
That long ago, yes. I would have been on the radio or at CBC or
Right.
something like that. Maybe I was with somebody famous. I went to dinner with Lauren Bacall.
Didn't I photograph you with the designer?
Martha Sturdy? No.
No.
Alfred Sung?
I don't
Remember
think so.
him?
I did.
Well, I don't know. Diana Krall?
I doubt that.
Oh, you doubt that? Because I did
She's
one of
hard to photograph.
I know I did one of the first, but she's so beautiful and lovely, as
She
you
is,
know.
but it's hard because she gets this sort of Russian archduchess look to her. You know?
Really, I see a picture of her now with Arthur Erickson, the late Arthur Erickson.
Oh, there they are.
Yes. And I interviewed her when Sam Feldman had not signed her as a singer yet.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was in the process. I was at CKNW then, I guess.
Can I say something about Sam?
Yes.
When I got my cancer, you know, I put a column, I wrote a column in the paper that I had cancer, blah, 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 blah. Like the next day, this big box, a courier brought a box to my house full of records. And it said, there's a little note that said, I know you're going to be at home for a while now, you know, a time on your hands. Here's something to cheer you up. Sam.
Really?
Yeah.
And for people who don't know Sam Feldman,
Well, Sam is, you know, Bruce Allen's partner for all these years and manages all sorts of acts, including Diana and the Chieftains. And,
and Leonard Cohen
of course, yeah,
did.
the problem was
Yes.
there were a lot of Chieftains albums in this package he sent me, and I'm not a huge fan.
But you can
Thanks,
send
Sam.
them back. Thanks, Sam. Thanks a lot. Philanthropists, you go to a lot of $500 a plate dinner, $2,000 a plate dinners. The Jackie Cohen
Yeah.
event recently,
Oh, I was there, yeah.
and you sometimes stand on a chair.
I do sometimes, yeah.
Why?
Well,
To take the picture.
It's a good angle on people, but you know, it's generally fairly flattering for women. I think it says in Mackie noticed that here. You look down, you see all the expensive stuff: the hair, the jewelry. If there's décolletage, the bosom looks higher, the body tapers.
If there's décolletage, often in your columns there is.
Sometimes there is, far less than people think.
Yes, whatever that means.
Got me. It's probably. Were you in the fruit marketing
You know,
business?
you know what I mean.
But you know what's
cleavage.
there's one thing that really is easy to overlook is I shoot a lot of people in crowds, you know, like hotel ballrooms and at parties or something. And one of the things you don't want is the background, all the other people. You get up, shoot down, the background is gone.
Okay.
So it's as much in the visual language, if you want to use that term, you concentrate more on the person you're photographing.
Photographers you admire, the Annie Leibovitz, the Bruce Weber, the
The photographer I most ever admired was a man who had a terrific international reputation, Fred Schiffer. He used to have a studio here.
yes,
You
on
know,
Burrard, wasn't it?
no,
Schiffer?
he was on Seymour Street.
Seymour, okay.
And, you know, he, very quiet, small, unassuming man, left Vienna when the Nazis came and everything, went to Britain, then Argentina, then to here. Photographed all the important people. I mean, he was the prime photographer of the creme de la creme.
Yes.
And then he photographed the Trudeau-Margaret Sinclair wedding. And it was all hush-hush until, you know, the wedding was over, and then his pictures were in all the newspapers. And I saw him on Seymour Street, very quiet, very unassuming, lovely man. I said, Fred, he was a friend of mine, you're famous now. He looked at me and said, I always was, but nobody knew.
Great line. I
He said-
always was, but nobody knew until he photographed the wedding, the Trudeau wedding. Justin Trudeau, I think you have a picture of Justin, you do.
I do.
In the, on the
at Tony-
walls of the Rennie Gallery coming up.
Tony von Mandel's vineyard.
And
he
that's
would-
his lovely wife, Sophie, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And Tony used to be a columnist for me.
Tony von Mandel,
Yeah.
the Mission Hill wine guy.
Yeah. when he was 22, he wrote a wine column for us at Vancouver Magazine. So whenever he introduces me to anyone now, he said, "I'd like you to meet my old boss, Mac Parry."
And I met him. His name was just Anthony Mandel, as I recall.
Tony
now he's Tony Von Mandel.
Anthony Von
He's got
Mandel.
Anthony Von Mandel. Okay. Speaking of dances, let's talk about dances. Karen Kane,
Oh yeah, there's one of her somewhere with David Y.H. Louis.
the late impresario, great dance person. Karen Kane's still kicking.
She is
Pointing.
indeed. Yeah, David, regrettably is. But then he was one of those guys who survived. I mean, he had some congenital heart disorder.
Yes.
Probably should have died 30 years ago.
But still with us, Sarah McLachlan and Richard Branson. Did you meet Richard Branson or just take his picture?
Oh, I met him several times. But the first time was when he came here to open the first store, the first Virgin store. And afterwards, we were all at the Roxy Cabaret, him and Vance Campbell and Blaine Culling and Sir Ricardo got some distinctly intoxicated, right? So, and you know what the Roxy's like, a real booze can. So we were,
I haven't been to the Roxy lately, but I've been once.
Anyway, Vance and Blaine were sort of helping him out, the two of the door. And I looked down at the rug, I picked up this platinum card, Richard Branson. It was his card. Hey, here's your card. And then several years later, when he was launching Virgin Mobile,
right?
He was down at Lyft, the restaurant there,
yes.
I guess. And I photographed him with Jim Green, who ran for mayor. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and said, "You're the chap who picked up my credit card." And I thought, man, that is a memory. Because several years later, and, you know, he wasn't exactly, you know, fully
sober.
On steam.
On steam.
Yeah.
Well, he's obviously a very bright guy and an adventurer and wild as a March hare at times.
Yeah.
Sarah McLachlan and Richard Branson were together, and the lovely Sarah, and she's so beautiful. Is she easy to photograph, Sarah McLachlan?
I would say yes, very obliging, very admirable person.
Mm-hmm. And big smile, gorgeous smile. And what about a Dustin Hoffman and a David Foster? How did they come together? Was that...
I forget what that function was. I know Dustin had these Band-Aids all over his forehead. I don't know whether he'd had some. If you look closely, there's... He's got a bunch of transparent Band-Aids.
How did you pick these pictures for the event coming up? It's a fundraiser for Raise the Reader. It's on the weekend at the Rennie Gallery. Did you pick them? How did it come together?
Well,
Where did it begin?
Well, as you said earlier, there's 10,000 more than that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And believe me, that was something to go through them because all the digital, most of them are on the computer, all the digital ones. And so I just wanted to represent the complexion of the community much as I see it all the time in my job. But here's the odd thing. It's a bit like making a magazine. It's like, I edited magazines for years, and when you put them out, you've commissioned and edited every word, you know, sent them back and forth. You know all the photographs, you know all the subheads, you know all the headlines, you know every part about it. You put it together over the course of weeks. And then it comes out, and here it is, a piece of paper.
Right.
And you look at it, and it's like something brand new. You see it as an entirely different thing. It's thrilling.
I bet it is, and the magic of black and white.
Yeah. And it's the same with this exhibition. Obviously, I know all the photographs. I took them all.
Sure.
I assemble them. And now, when I go down, I was down at Rennie's yesterday, they're putting them up. And it's got a new life. It's something else. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time. It's bloody marvelous.
I bet. Fred Herzog said that, who is an artist and was an industrial photographer and all of that.
And medical, too. Yeah.
And medical photographer, really
I knew
more
him
than
way
industrial.
back,
Yes.
60.
And now he said to me, "Well, Fanny, I'm not an artist." I said, "Fred, you are."
Yeah, well,
you know.
stick around long enough.
Stick around long enough, and there it is. But thrilling for him.
Yeah.
To see his work on the walls of the Equinox Gallery.
Not a single one of my shots was shot on a Leica or on Kodachrome, like all of Freddie's.
Yes, all of Freddie's, and his are color, mostly.
Well,
but
most of mine are shot in color. It's just that they're printed for the show, and much to my pleasure, in black and white.
in black and white.
Yeah.
What about Bryan Adams as a photographer?
Actually, better than you would think. You know, he was a bit mawkish at the start, as we all were. I
Right.
certainly was. But boy, he learned the game.
And when you say somebody is easy to photograph, difficult to photograph, is it about them not coming forward? Is it about they have high cheekbones? They are shy, they're not shy? What do you think it is? Some
I don't
people
know.
are very
I've never worked this
photogenic.
out. It's not physiognomy, I think. The one thing that it does and still surprises me is what they call people who are photogenic. Sometimes you look at somebody and think, my golly, they just came off some Montana ranch, you know.
Yes, really. Someone you know?
And then you photograph them and they look superb.
Yeah.
And other times you see somebody strikingly beautiful or handsome, and you shoot them and you look at them, shoot again. And I can't explain it.
I can't either, because I worked in modeling in my very early years, and our photographic models were not in the flesh, in real life, not all that gorgeous. Take a picture of them, knockouts.
Yeah, Sarah McCauley, you know, has her own art gallery here. I think there's a photograph of her. There may even be two in this exhibition.
Okay.
Famous for, you know, a Vogue model in Europe. She's one of those people who's just fairly ordinary looking in many
Right.
ways, but on the camera,
Beautiful. And Sarah Palin, she always takes a good picture, and Leah Costello, of course. I was at that dinner, the Sarah Palin dinner.
she was ticked off too because she thought there was to be no media or anything. So.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, I was there, and because I thought there was going to be an event, I'm sure, but what was really interesting, it was held at the Vancouver Club, and
Yeah,
people who had gone there were pretending they weren't going. Did
yeah.
you see that as they're walking in the front door, and they say, well, I'm not really here to see Sarah Palin.
Oh.
I'm just here to support, you know, Leah.
Yeah.
I know, but they went. And it was, I felt like I was in Saturday Night Live. It was so much fun.
We all have our reasons.
How nice to see you. Thanks for getting up early in the morning. Mac Parry, of course, you can read his column Town Talk in the Vancouver Sun, and he takes pictures for glossy magazines. And there will be a 2-day show at the Rennie Gallery fundraiser for Raise the Reader, Rennie Gallery in Chinatown.
Please go.
Please go. Remember, you can follow, and it's by donation. If you give a donation, that will help kids, help
It's all for the
literacy.
kids, Fanny.
You can follow our conversations on YouTube. Join me on Twitter at Fanny Kiefer. There will be many more talented, smart, and savvy guests to come. Thanks for watching Shaw TV and being here with me today.